Essays on Untouchables and Untouchability Social by Babasaheb Ambedkar. Chapter 1 3D. In the domain of science, arts, and crafts, the contribution of the Hindu civilization is of the most primitive character. Except in some spheres such as weaving, spinning, etc., the Hindu civilization has not evolved any technical equipment which can aid man in his struggle against nature to make a bare living that can be said to be higher than that of a brute. It is because of the complete absence of scientific and technical equipment and with all the transcendental nonsense that is being perpetrated that famines are desolating the land in all ages. Ignorance, superstition, and disease which affect the mind, malaria and plague diseases which affect the body, have hung like a pall over the country throughout the ages. In the field of religion and ethics, the Hindus have made their greatest efforts. Of their contributions, these are the most elaborately developed. They are undoubtedly the most vital to man for the simplest reason that they help to install in man the springs of thought and action. They are responsible for the outlook which man has on life. They are responsible for the attitude one holds towards his fellow man. They prescribe principles which govern conduct, mold character, and implant in man that mysterious thing called conscience, which acts as a sentinel and prevents him from going wrong. It is when one comes to examine the Hindu civilization in the matter of its religious content, the way of life it prescribes, that one begins to doubt whether this Hindu civilization is at all an advantage to the generations who are fated to inherit it. What does this civilization offer to the 25 millions of primitive tribes who are living on its frontiers? What does it offer to the 5 millions of criminal tribes who are living in the midst of that civilization? What does it offer to the 50 millions of untouchables who are not only living in the midst of that civilization but are required to sustain it? What about the primitive tribes, say, of a civilization which has made no effort to adopt them in its fold? What about the criminal tribes, say, of a civilization which has driven them to take to criminal ways for earning their livelihood? Would it be unjust if they said that this is not civilization, this is infamy? As to the untouchables, theirs has been a fate of degradation and destitution in the past, and for whom, under the Hindu civilization, there seems to be no escape in the future. Even Indians do not seem to realize the extent of degradation and destitution that is involved in this system of untouchability. The observance of the committee appointed by the government of Bombay to inquire into the grievances of the depressed classes and aboriginal tribes in 1928 are very pertinent. It said, there is nothing strange in the idea that an unclean person or thing causes repulsion, which underlies the idea of pollution. But what is regrettable about it, as applied to the untouchables, is its irrationality. It stamps an individual as untouchable by the mere accident of his birth. A person born untouchable remains untouchable, however superior he may be in personal cleanliness to the so called touchable, and there is no way open to him by which he can escape his fate. What is surprising in all this is that an orthodox Hindu, notwithstanding the differences between his religious notions and mode of living and outlook in life and those of the Mohammedans, Parsis, and Christians, treat them as touchables. This has resulted in further aggravating the position of the untouchables. For this unjust discrimination on the part of the Orthodox Hindus, in some cases being influenced by the Orthodox Hindus, especially in villages, even the Mohammedans, Parsis, and Christians observe untouchability towards the untouchables, though their religions teach contrariwise. What we are concerned most to point out are the evils attributed and attributable to it, insofar as untouchability includes isolation and inferiority. But these are evils specifically attributable to untouchability as such. Pressed to its logical limit in an Orthodox Hindu society, it would prevent the untouchables from obtaining entry into a public school, though it is maintained at the expense of the state. It would prevent them from entering the public services, though they may be qualified for it, except for the services customarily allotted to them. It would also prevent them from taking water from the public watering places maintained out of public funds. Looked at from this point of view, untouchability is not merely a social problem, it is a problem of the highest political importance and affects the fundamental question of the civic rights of the subjects of the state. The end.